Hey everyone, Richard Robbins here. Well, I've got the numbers, your monthly market update for Vancouver here from the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. Now I'm going to do something a little different today. Every month I'm trying to change it up a little bit to hopefully deepen your understanding of what's going on in the marketplaces. So anyway, I'm going to look at the last 5 years. I'm going to compare January so you can see what's going on for the last 5 years. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about your months of inventory in your different property types so we can see what's going on. And at the end, I'm going to give you a little forecast as to what I think is going to happen this year, but also give you some ideas on how you can prosper in what has turned into a full buyer's market. So let's have a look here. If we go back to 2015, you'll see we did 1,913 sales. Then what happened, we went up by 31% to 2,500 in 16. Then of course, foreign buyer tax went in, our sales dropped off by 39% down to 1,523. And then what happened, 2018, we popped up a little bit, 19% up to 1,818. And then you can see here, we're down by 39% from this year, okay, 1,103 sales. Now obviously very low, the lowest year we've had in the last 5 years by far. However, the number's up slightly from December, but not very much. Now let's look at active listings, because remember, your supply and demand, your months of inventory is going to determine what's really going on, the strength or the weakness of a market. So back here in 2015, we had almost 11,000 listings. And then what happened, because our market got really strong in 16, our listings went down to 6,600, okay? So you can see right here, you've only got about 3 months of inventory, right? So a very strong marketplace. Inventory went up a little bit. Obviously, sales went down a little bit here. Or again, 6,900 down a little bit because, again, sales were up a little bit. Really interesting, isn't it, when you look at it? And then, of course, sales way down. What happened? Whoa, went up to over 10,000 active listings, which really is about the same, okay, that we had in 2015. The difference is our sales were way off from 2015. So what does that do to months of inventory? So back in 15, we had 5.6 months of inventory. Then we went down, remember, very strong, 2.6, foreign buyer tax came up to 4.7. Then 2018, it dropped back off. The market was okay, but look at this, it exploded to 9.8 months of inventory. Now, balanced market, 4 to 6 months of inventory. We are in a full buyer's market right now in Vancouver. What's going on with prices? 2015, you're at 641. 16, we went to 775, up by 20%, okay, incredible number. Then 17, even though the sales were down a bit, look what happened, our prices still went up by 15.6 to 896. 2018, look at, up again, 17.9, okay, to over $1 million. And then you can see January of this year to January of last year, we're off by 3.5%. So now your prices are starting to weaken. The first time that we saw weakening prices, okay, January to January in the last 5 years. Now here's your months of inventory. The board has 9.8, okay, but look at your detached has 14.7. Now your detached market is in a full-blown buyer's market. There's no question detached prices are going to be weakening fairly substantially. And then apartments 7.4, townhouses 8.4, but again, 6 or 4 to 6, balanced market, we've moved into a buyer's market in all of the segments that are happening right here. So when I look at this, what's happening with our prices? So if we look at our prices, the board average is $1 million, detached 1.4, apartment you can see 658, and townhouse you can see sitting around 800,000. Now, what I want to do now is I want to talk a little bit about sort of what I suspect is going to happen the rest of this year. Now, I am a little bit hopeful, actually, because I'm not suspecting we're going to have interest rate increases. There's some talk right now about adjusting or changing the stress test. Now, it's just talk, and nothing might come out of it, but maybe it will. But everything else is strong. If you look at unemployment, you look at, our inflation, all of the numbers are strong. All that's happened is because of all the rate increases, foreign buyer tax, and we can go on and on. Like agency, you're dealing with that out there right now in BC. You've got a lot happening, okay? You got stress testing. So there's been a lot of things that have been thrown at you in your marketplace. So real estate professionals right now are dealing in a completely different market, and a market they haven't dealt with in a long, long time. So here's a question I'm getting. Everybody says, well, when the market changes, when it becomes a buyer's market, should I be focusing on more on the buyer side of the business or the seller side of the business? Because think about it, when the market's really, really good, you get a listing, right? It's sold. You're getting paid. The challenge is a lot of people will automatically start moving towards more of the buyer side because they say, well, if you get listings, they're not going to sell. Like, think about it. If you have 14 months of inventory, what percentage of your listings in detached are going to sell every month? Well, let's do this. If you've got 9.8 months of inventory, really 10 months of inventory, that means, okay, that say less than 10% of the homes are going to sell in any given month. That's challenging, right? So you start to look at that and so maybe I shouldn't take listings. But let me say this. I have been in real estate since 1985. I have worked in some very dismal marketplaces. And what I know, at the end of the day, you still have to list to last. Always focus on the listing side of the business. Now, if buyers fall in your lap, that's great. But don't be looking for buyers, be looking for listings. Now, what you have to do, though, is you got to be cautious about the ones you're taking. Because what is it going to take to sell a house? Well, we know it's got to show really well, and it's got to be priced really well, because you're competing against, say 10 other people in that marketplace in that month, and you're only going to see roughly one sell. You all with me here? Which means you got to be the best looking and the best price. Now, what does it take for a house to sell? It takes price. If you price a house right, there's still, say, for argument's sake, 1 out of 10 that are going to sell on average, right? So you got to become that one. But what is it going to take for a seller to price right? Motivation. Like if they have to sell, they're automatically going to price right. If they don't have to sell, they don't care, they're not going to be concerned. So here's my suggestion. Number one, continue to focus on the listing side of the business. Number two, be very selective in the listings you take. If they're not motivated to sell and they're not going to price accordingly, don't take the listing. Number three, when you take a listing when they have a high degree of motivation, then every single week you need to be communicating the homes that have sold and the homes that are for sale, and you need to help them what I call trip over the truth. Trip over the truth. That means if you give them all of the information, all of the data, and they can see what the houses are selling for compared to theirs in terms of price, and they can see what the other listings are at, most people, if they have to sell because they want to know what they have to do to get it sold, they're going to trip over the truth. And you need to stay in touch more often because it's going to take longer to sell, isn't it? The secret is you can't be taking listings where they're not motivated to sell because they're not going to sell and they're going to cost you money. And that's not a good business decision. Any business should be designed to make money. And if you take a whole bunch of listings that don't sell, you've invested money and you've invested time and you get absolutely no result. So remember, what you want to do is focus on the listing side of the business, be selective in the listings you're taking. For the ones you take, it's got to be a beauty contest and a price war. If it's not exactly the right price, you need to communicate every single week to these people what's going on in the marketplace. Whether you send them the information, follow up with a phone call afterwards, and you need to get that home priced accordingly if you want to be the one that's going to sell. At the end of the day, everybody, it's a beautiful life. Make it count.